you haven't mentioned obviously Carlton Leach at all. I know you and him have never seen eye to eye, but I mean, I was going to ask you. I mean, you know, obviously he's always sort of maintained that he was very close to him, and he was really good friendly with him, and you know, obviously you wasn't really involved and blah blah. And obviously, from what you've said, you was in the centre of it.
I honestly don't know Carlton Leach, right? I've met him maybe 6 times.
Okay.
And only in this context where I've gone in a club and he's either on the door or he's with Tucker and Tucker will go, all right, Bernie, this is Carlton, this is Bernie. Right. And another time it was Dave Dunn, and we've exchanged, but I've never sat down and had a conversation with him. I've never had any form of conversation with him.
Right.
It's a hello, goodbye, how are you, blah, blah, blah. That's it, right?
Why do you think he's got so upset, though? Because obviously, against you personally, because I know you've had that sort of, a bit of a sort of social media
I can't read his mind, but I think he's a very jealous person. He wants Tucker to be his, do you know what I mean? He's my friend, he's not your friend.
Right,
It's sad, isn't it? But, you know, that's what I think. I don't know, but it's the only thing I can think of, because I've never done anything to him. But he's not so bad now. He probably will be when he hears this. But, you know, for about 2 years, he drove me and my children and my wife and family absolutely insane. It was like a daily thing, constantly, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Talking about my kids, me autistic kids, he called them. My kids are quite clever, actually, and, you know, on about my wife, on about my son, on about all these things. Even my son's then girlfriend was adopting a child whose mother was an heroin addict, so she was going to take care of the child, and even that nearly got stopped because the authorities were aware that he was abusing her on the internet, and they were concerned that it would affect the thing. But he obviously didn't think of them things when he was saying them. And a lot of these people on the internet don't understand. Right. It's like when people say to me, why don't you ignore them? Well, if I ignore them, they say I killed Leah Betts. They say I was somehow took a taking role for. Imagine if I said nothing, you know, it'd be ridiculous. And my kids go into a school and people say your dad's a murderer, your dad's a drug dealer, your dad's killed.
Right.
That ain't right, you know what I mean? Right. They'll never shut me up. And it got so ridiculous in the end that I started legal proceedings against Leach to have him injuncted, to have him shut up, right?
Right.
And again, I never said anything about it, but he made a big deal of it in the internet. He's grassed me up, he's done, you know, if you're going to go into grassing up and the ethics, the criminal ethics, which is a load of nonsense anyway. You know, one, you don't abuse kids and women, which he'd broke, and you don't involve people's families, which he'd broke. So the rules were gone by the time I instigate these proceedings. And he's going, I'll fight him anywhere, I'll do this anywhere, I'll do that. The day I issued proceedings, he went to the doctors, right, and got a medical note and said he can't travel to Lincoln to the court case because he's got a bad leg. Right, so he wouldn't come and face us in the court. And then his case against me was just ridiculous. He claimed that I'd had a bad reputation as an informant since the 1960s, right? I thought I was only born in 1960. Right. And he actually named a guy called Maurice O'Mahony as me. Because in the East End it had O'Mahony's, a grass on this railway bridge, and he was saying that was me.
Right.
But it was a guy called Maurice O'Mahony who died in about, you know, probably when I was 3 or something, do you know what I mean? And he didn't, all his facts were wrong.
Do you know something, though? I'm glad we're talking about this because obviously people don't, you know, when people say things online and other people join in, you know, obviously, like you said, you've kept a dignified silence, and then obviously you've said your bit. But then you get people going, well, why would he say it? It's got to be right, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. And, you know, I think it's good to hear your side of the story.
Well, they threatened to dig my dead wife up. My wife died when she was 20. We got married. Right. She was 26. 5 months later, healthy as anything, sitting watching telly like me and you are now. And she hadn't been to work because she felt a bit unwell.
Right.
And she went, Bernie, I love you. I thought, oh, God, she wants kids, do you know what I mean?
Right.
And she's going, I really love you. I thought, oh, fuck, I'm in real trouble here. And then she went, and died. She had flu and she attacked her heart. She was 5 months after we'd been married. I buried her in a wedding dress. And then on the internet they're saying they're going to dig her up. Do you know what I mean?
That's fucking disgusting. It's
disgusting. They don't realise that if you could get them in that moment when you've read it, what you would do to them. They don't realise it. It's just poison there, that internet is. But anyway, with Leach, he wanted his big day in court and he was going to show me what's what. I had to serve the papers on him on January the 6th, say, I can't remember the exact date. But I was ordered to do so over the Christmas period. But because of COVID and everything, to serve papers, I was representing myself.
Right.
You have to go to the court and they have to be sealed. They have to have a little stamp on it.
Right.
Then you can serve them. But I handed the papers in on time at the court, but they said because of the backlog, because of COVID and Christmas, you ain't going to get them back in time.
Right.
So I went, well, what am I going to do? I said, well, I'll have to email his solicitor all the paperwork and explain to him that I can't give you a sealed copy until I get it from the court. So I did that, and I asked him to acknowledge he'd received them, which he did. And then, say January the 6th was the cut-off date.
Right.
On January the 6th, he went to the court and he said he hasn't served me with a sealed copy, and they had it thrown out.
Right.
So I didn't lose any court case.
Right.
They got out of the court case using a technicality.
Right, got it.
Because they'd have got smashed in the court. They didn't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
Everything in that paperwork was true, and everything in his paperwork was laughable. You know, that's how that ended.
Right.
But I'm happy to restart it if they want to restart abusing my family, you know.
Right, well, I mean, there's no cause for it, really. I mean, it should just be you know, move on. What is sad is if I hadn't have bought that book and I hadn't have done all that hard work getting that film off, he wouldn't have done a fucking tour. Nobody would really know who he is, right? He would have just been, oh, yeah, he was a doorman and he was in the ICF and he knew these guys, but he would never have become as famous as he is now. And, you know, he did a tour after the thing. I think the sad thing about it is he's never once thanked me, right? And all he ever seems to do is just go online and just go on about what about the families. But when he did the first one, he didn't even, he didn't care about the families. But now, because he's not involved, it seems to be about the families. Keeps spouting all this shit online. And you just sort of think, you know, what is wrong with this guy? Do you know what I mean? It sort of doesn't make any sense because I've never said or done anything to him. I haven't fallen out of him. I haven't even seen him.
Well, if someone's got a genuine problem with you, you ring them up and you say, look, I ain't happy what you've said there. And I go, well, I'm sorry. If you're wrong, you apologise. And if you go, well, actually, it's true. You say, well, actually, it's true. And you take it from there, didn't you? You didn't sit on the internet, you know, on your sperm-stained keyboard bashing away all night. Do you know what I mean? Right.